TV1 රැස්වීදෙන ජීවිතේ.
Is the trade union action launched by health trade unions still continuing? Yesterday, an enjoining order was issued by the Colombo District Court preventing this strike action from continuing. However, still, patients continue to be inconvenienced. A very good afternoon. Welcome to Lunchtime News on TV1. We've got details of these stories and more lined up for you this afternoon. But before we take a look at those stories in detail, here are your headlines for this afternoon.
COVID-19 patients who need oxygen increased by 5 to 10%. Special committee appointed by the Ministry of Education to inquire into irregularities when conducting the advanced level examination. People queue up to purchase cement. T20 encounter between Sri Lanka and Australia begins today.
The Deputy Director General of Health Services, Dr. Hemanta Herath, says that the number of patients who are in need of oxygen has increased by 5 to 10%. The Deputy Director General of Health Services, Dr. G. Vijay Surya, also said that a daily increase of COVID-19 patients has been identified as well.
We are seeing people gathering at public places, holding protests and rallies no matter how much we advise them not to. We will not able to prevent the spread of the virus by resorting to actions like these. Some people have not focused their attention on this. Senior citizens and children are there at their homes. They are the vulnerable groups. We have seen an increase in cases in the recent past. Some people have not determined the illness they were down with, not obtained medical advice or admitted themselves to the hospital. The requirement for oxygen has increased. At the moment, patients receiving treatment at the ICUs have increased as well.
ඔක්සිජන් අවශ්‍යතාවය සුළු ප්‍රමාණයකින් අපිට වැඩි වෙලා තියෙනවා පසුගිය කාලයට වඩා. ඒ වගේම දරිසත්චාරයක භාවිතයත් සුළු ප්‍රමාණයකින් තමයි අපිට වැඩි වෙලා තියෙන්නේ.
On to one of your top stories this afternoon. Chairman of the Government Nurses Association, Saman Ratnapriya, says that neither he nor the association had received the enjoining order issued by the Colombo District Judge Aruna Alutke prohibiting the association from continuing their trade union action. Now, the enjoining order was issued last evening after the Attorney General's Department reported facts to court on the situation. However, many nurses and other medical staff had not reported to work at hospitals across the island even today.
Many patients were unable to receive treatment as members of several hospitals across the island had not reported, as medical staff at several hospitals across the island had not reported to work today. A strike was launched by 17 health trade unions including nurses, supplementary health workers and paramedics over 9 demands including issues surrounding salary anomalies. Medicine was not issued at the hospital of Pulatisipura in Polonnaruwa. Patients who came for treatment at the Kurunagala hospital were severely affected as operations at the hospital had come to a standstill. Certain clinics continued to function at the Colombo National Hospital today. However, laboratories did not function and medicine was not issued to patients today. Patients who came to purchase medicine for the Colombo National Hospital were directed to the state's pharmaceutical corporation. Certain operations at the Karapitia Teaching Hospital in Gaul continued to function.
Farmers from Kandakatia in the Badulla district say that they were not able to reap a good harvest from their corn and pumpkin cultivations. Farmers allege that this situation was a direct result of the organic fertilizer that they used to cultivate their crops.
Villagers in Kandakatia in Talahena in Badulla district make ends meet through farming. These farmers cultivated their pumpkin and corn lands using organic fertilizer. Their crops have suffered damages due to the shortage of pesticides as well. Farmers lament that their yields have dropped this season. Farmers from Kumarigama in Ampara district say that their harvest have seen a drop in the Maha season as well. These farmers have used the liquid nitrogen fertilizer that was distributed among them by the government. The farming community is frustrated with this government. It was very evident at the recent public rally. If Mahinda Rajapaksa questions his own conscience, he will know how much the people like this government. The people were expecting the Minister of Agriculture to attend the meeting. They have unfinished business with the Agriculture Minister. One such issue is if the government will provide fertilizer and relief for the Yala season. Good that Minister Mahindananda was not present at the meeting. People were waiting to hoot at him. While the farmers have been affected by a drastic reduction in their harvest, people continue to stand in long queues to purchase goods. This is how people queued up opposite a wholesale shop to purchase cement in Pilanagol.
බොහොම කරගහට මහත්තයෝ සිමෙන්ති බෑග් දෙකකට මෙච්චර මේ උදේ ඉඳලා පොලිමින් එක ගන්න. දෙහෙට උකම් මේ තේක නුයි මෙච්චර මේ පොලිමින් ඉන්නේ. කියන දෙයක් නැහැ මහත්තයෝ. ඉතින් අපි මේ රාජ්‍ය සේවකයන් පොලිමින් තමයි ඉන්නේ ඉතින්. හැමදාම පොලිම ප්‍රිම සිමෙන්ති පොලිම, හවල් පොලිම, තෙල් පොලිම ඉතින් ඔක්කොම ඉතින් පොලිම දුකේ තමයි තියෙන්නේ.
හරිම ලැජ්ජයි මේ සිමෙන්ති පොලිමේ දුක් විඳින හැටි උදේ 4ට ආයේ මෙතෙන්ට.
Long queues were seen in Mirihana as well. These people had queued up to purchase milk powder.
Another one of your headline-making stories, Commissioner General of the Examination Department, LMD Dharmasena, says that an expert committee will be appointed to investigate the irregularities that arose when students sat for their aesthetic subjects at this year's advanced level examination. It was reported on the 9th of this month that students at 2 exam centers had encountered an issue when the advanced level arts paper was distributed among the students. Examination centers established at the Baddegama Christ the King Boys College and Takshila Vidyalaya in Gampaha have also encountered this problem. Students who sat for the advanced level arts examination had not received the second part of their paper. Commissioner General of the Examination Department, LMD Dharmasena, said that recommendations will be sought from the special committee that was appointed to look into this matter and to do justice by these students who were severely affected.
We will see what we can do after marking the papers, the students, and seeking the recommendations of this committee that we have appointed. We will see as to what the alternative steps that we can take in this matter as well. We shall serve justice to these students. The entire responsibility of this error must be borne by the invigilators and the staff. This situation arose because they did not adhere to the advice of their superiors.
Fuel prices. When there is an increase, you can be rest assured that the cost of living in your life will also increase, including bus fares. However, State Minister of Transport Dilum Amunugama says that despite an increase in fuel prices, bus fares will not be increased this year. The State Minister said that an agreement has been reached in this regard with bus owners.
Bus owners and organizations of bus owners have come to an agreement with us that even though in the past when fuel prices are increased, bus fares are also increased along with it. This year, despite the increase in fuel prices, bus fares will not be increased. Generally, we revise bus fares in June every year. We granted permission for bus fares to be increased due to the increase in fuel prices. We hope not to increase bus fares this June and even throughout this year. However, if fuel prices increase exponentially, we will have to reconsider this. But I don't believe that fuel prices will increase that much.
One person has been killed in a shootout with police. Let's take a look at the details in our special segment, Crime Watch.
Crime Watch.
A drug peddler named Abba was shot dead by the police special task force during a raid carried out in Isurisimawata in Egodoyana, Moratua. The police special task force said that a house in the area was raided at about 10 last night based on a tip-off received.
The occupants of the house had fired at the officers of the police special task force. The officers had returned fire and a 27-year-old drug peddler was killed in the shootout. An officer of the police special task force was also injured. The police said that 6 people in the house at the time were arrested.
Crime.
Former United States Assistant Secretary of State for Western Hemisphere Affairs, Julie Chung, has been sworn in as the new ambassador to Sri Lanka. United States Deputy Secretary of State Wendy R. Sherman tweeted, quote, "Chung's distinguished State Department career and exceptional leadership makes her the perfect choice to represent the American people and advance the U.S.-Sri Lanka partnership. I look forward to continuing our work together," unquote. A simple letter. How much of an impact do you think a simple letter could make in your life? Today, Gammatha was able to respond to a letter sent by a mother full of hope and make her dreams a reality.
Naina Deepti's husband is a fisherman and she helps him to carry out his trade. Despite their efforts, they found it difficult to make ends meet. Their 12-year-old daughter was suffering with a kidney disease since she was 3 years old. With nowhere else to turn, Naina Deepti decided to write about her woes to someone she trusts. She reached out to Gammatha. Gammatha told her story to the world. Good fortune came her way in the form of magnanimous donor Lalani Kahavatta, who came forward to build a house for this brave mother.
And a look at some news from overseas now. The 4th Quad Foreign Ministers meeting will be held in Melbourne, Australia today.
The 4 countries formed a group called Quad that aims to counter China's power in the Indo-Pacific region, which includes Sri Lanka. Climate change, COVID-19 and China's coercion in the Indo-Pacific will top the agenda when foreign ministers of the Quad convene in Melbourne today, but the discussions will also expand into an escalating crisis between the West and Russia over Ukraine. US Secretary of State Antony Blinken arrived in Australia this week as Washington grapples with a dangerous standoff with Moscow, which has massed some 100,000 troops near Ukraine's border and stoked Western fears of an invasion. Russia denies it has such plans. Asked by reporters if confrontation with China in the Indo-Pacific was inevitable, Blinken replied, "Nothing is inevitable." Indian media, however, reported that New Delhi will support US President Joe Biden to step up the 4-nation cooperation to contain China. China lambasted against the upcoming Quad Foreign Ministers meeting today and accused the members, including India and the US, of creating a bloc confrontation and having a Cold War mentality.
APAD Sri Lanka conducted an awareness program for small and medium enterprises engaged in the tourism sector in Thissa Maharama.
The program focused on preparing businessmen in the tourism sector of the Hambantota district to adapt and overcome disasters. The event was organized by the Asia Pacific Alliance for Disaster Management, also known as APAD, together with the United Nations Development Programme, Sri Lanka Tourist Board and Ceylon Chamber of Commerce. Certificates were distributed to the participants of the workshop.
Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has accused his British counterpart of grandstanding after the pair held talks in Moscow about the Ukrainian crisis.
I am honestly disappointed that what we have is a conversation between a mute and a deaf person. Our most detailed explanations fell on unprepared soil.
And I can't see any other reason for having 100,000 troops stationed on the Ukrainian border apart from to threaten Ukraine. And if Russia is serious about diplomacy, they need to move those troops and desist from the threats.
Meanwhile, Ukraine has accused Russia of blocking its access to the sea as Russia prepares for naval exercises next week amid spiraling tensions in the region. Ukrainian foreign minister said the Sea of Azov was completely blocked and the Black Sea almost fully cut off by Russian forces. Russia has repeatedly denied any plans to invade Ukraine despite massing more than 100,000 troops at the border, but it has just begun massive military drills with neighboring Belarus. Belarus is a close ally of Russia and has a long border with Ukraine.
India's most populous state of Uttar Pradesh began voting in the first of a series of local elections that will be a key test of the popularity of Prime Minister Narendra Modi and his ruling party.
The 58 seats in western Uttar Pradesh, which went to the polls in the first phase of voting, recorded an average turnout of 60.17%, a fall of more than 3% from the 2017 election. The seats recorded 63.47% voting in the last election. In the first phase of the 2022 election, in 11 districts covering the industrial regions close to Delhi and the sugarcane and potato cultivation belts, the highest turnout was recorded in Kairana seat in Shamli. The BJP has run a high-pitched campaign on alleged exodus of Hindu families in Kairana and the Muzaffarnagar riots of 2013.
In sports news this afternoon, the 5-match T20 international series between Sri Lanka and Australia starts today at the Sydney Cricket Grounds in Australia. Australia will take the field for the first time as the men's T20 World Cup champions. It is also Australia's first match in the post-Lagna era and under interim coach The International Testing Agency has confirmed that teenage figure skater Kamila Valieva failed a drug test in December. For the Newsfirst team, have yourselves a great afternoon.